Nammo. Good morning. It is April 6, 2020, and we're here for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls me back to our true home. This morning we're reciting the first wonderful precept. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I vow to cultivate compassion and learn ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I am determined not to kill, not to let others kill, and not to condone any act of killing in the world, in my thinking, or in my way of life. We continue reading Kamma and the End of Kamma by Ajahn Sucitto. Kamma and the sense of self. In its fullest sense, liberation from Kamma is liberation from cause and effect in the mind. It's a process of mentally, emotionally stepping back from any state and seeing it just as a state, without reactions and attitudes. This simple skill, which most of us can do from time to time, is what we develop in Buddhist practice. More radically, it means stepping out of the program that asserts that my life gets fulfilled by having or being some state or another, in this world or another. This is the view that perpetuates Kamma. When this view is the lens, I keep looking for or imagining some unchangeable subjective state that I could be, have, or in fact already am. Have you ever found one? This self-view attaches to bodies, feelings, notions, mental programs, and sense data as, this is me, this is mine, this is myself. But have you ever found one that you can have forever and that never lets you down? And who is the self that could have something? And what could he or she be? How can I own a feeling when the pleasant ones go when I don't want them to, and the disagreeable ones roll in uninvited? How could I be my impulses, ideas, or moods when they arise, condition each other, and pass away like a tag team? You can't call the feelings a permanent self because they come and go and they change. You can't even call the propensity to feel a self, because that too is subject to whether we're asleep or awake, numbed, inattentive, or hypersensitive. Moreover, the personal meanings that we project onto life and the reactions and psychological responses that are our thumbprints are also subject to change. The dynamic of this process is so continual that it gives rise to the sense of solidity, but a core permanent essence or entity can't be found. If you consider the topic further, anything that is self would have to be independent, just self, and not part of anything else. But the existence and constitution of the body, for example, is dependent on parents and food and many other things. It doesn't arise independently. When you cut your hair or nails, you don't lose your sense of self, so self cannot be associated with embodiment. And aren't feelings and the propensity to feel dependent on something other? We see something, we feel something. What kind of seeing or feeling could occur without an object? Furthermore, the self cannot be associated with mind states and activities. Don't they arise dependent on physical states or other mind states or activities? Then again, If body, feelings, and sense data were myself, surely I could say, let them be like this, and not like that. But actually, they go their own way, the way of cause and effect. So what is self and what is going on? We may not be able to find anything that we can call a self, yet we continually have the experience of being something, a continual feeling of I am. How is that? It's because of consciousness, whose normal function is to discriminate experience in terms of a separate subject and object. But subject and object are inferences rather than realities, and they depend on each other. You can't have a sense of a subject without some object, and vice versa. Now, when mental consciousness attends to our inner subjective dimension, it again separates subject from object with an inference of I as the propagator and me, the inheritor of mind states, moods, thoughts, and the rest, as in, here I am, feeling confused by myself, because that action is unlike me, and I'm not feeling quite like myself right now. Every sensation, every thought, every feeling that passes through is either tagged as what I am, this is mine, even though they pass and change, or else the notion is held that I am other than this, even though I am defined in terms of input that affects me. Either of these two instinctive psychological activities of selfing, I am this or I'm other than this, continually determines a sense of self in ways that generate more specific self-definition. However, because I can't hold on to what I want and can't get away from what I don't want, the underlying mood of self is restless and unfulfilled. I keep trying to find the good state, but this one isn't quite it. Thus there is dis-ease. Liberation from this dis-ease and stress is thus synonymous with awakening out of the dissatisfied self. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope you have as lovely a day as possible.